Good day. The next topic would be WBC neoplastic diseases. Last time you had a lecture on the white blood cells, non-neoplastic, so that mostly inflammatory process and other reactive conditions. Just like the previous, we have a summary of the development of white blood cells, eventually uh, producing several types of mature leukocytes. Generally, the production of white blood cells would start from the bone marrow and different uh, leukocytes arising from this, particularly the B lymphocytes, are produced in the bone marrow. Here we have a review of anatomy of the lymph node. Take note from the capsule, you have many follicles with germinal centers. And in between are the parafollicular area. Generally, within the follicles, located are the B cells. And in the parafollicular area would be mostly T cells. And at the center, mostly we have the medullary area. Okay, as we mentioned, the disorders of white blood cells may fall under the following categories. We have proliferation and deficiency, deficiency leading to leukopenia. Proliferation is further subdivided to reactive processes, and another would be neoplastic. So in this lecture, we will concentrate under neoplastic diseases. With neoplastic diseases, it is further subdivided to lymphoid, myeloid, and those arising from histiocytes. So with lymphoid, under this would be lymphomas. For myeloid, we have the acute myelogenous leukemia, myelodysplastic syndrome, and chronic myeloproliferative disorders. So let's differentiate leukemia and lymphoma. Okay? So both are of lymphoid in origin. Okay? The involvement in leukemia would be the area of the blood of circulation and may be involved would be the bone marrow. For lymphoma, mostly these are neoplastic processes in the discrete tissue masses. But this may also evolve into a leukemia. So at clinical presentation, we have lymphoma that may fall into three categories. We have non-Hodgkin's, Hodgkin's, and plasma cell neoplasm. The characteristic of this, for non-Hodgkin's, two-thirds are said to be nodal. For Hodgkin's lymphoma, all are nodal. They have uh, enlarged in size of the node more than 2 centimeter and non-tender. For one-third of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, they tend to be extranodal, may be seen in many organs like the skin, stomach. Then we have leukemia. So leukemia, it may cause bone marrow suppression. It may also involve other organs, particularly liver, spleen. So they may be involved in leukemia. And the third group would be that of the plasma cell neoplasm. Mostly the important would be the multiple myeloma, wherein one of its characteristics would be involvement or invasion of the skeleton, leading to bone destruction pain, and pathological fracture. The classification of WHO for lymphoid neoplasm are divided into precursor or immature lymphomas or leukemias, then peripheral lymphomas. So they are immature and mature respectively. And the clonality are also being differentiated. Either they are B or a T cell neoplasm. General principles on assessing lymphoid neoplasm would be the following. So one, okay, diagnosis requires histological examination. So in general, the appearance of lymphoid neoplasm, there is effacement of the architecture. For example, the involved area is the lymph node. Instead of seeing the follicles at the area of the cortex, it will be an diffuse proliferation of neoplastic lymphocytes. So we also have to evaluate or differentiate whether the proliferation is more of a reactive in origin or more of a neoplastic process. So this condition, we may request for additional testing. 85 to 90% are of B cell origin. As we mentioned, the normal architecture is disrupted. So we have to assess whether this is more of a reactive process or maybe associated with some other disease rather than a neoplastic process. So clonality, either B or T cells, they have a specific location. So B cell, as I mentioned earlier, more on the follicle. And for the T cells, more in the parafollicular or paracortical area. So involvement of nodes or extranodal area may be seen, as we mentioned, in non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. But for Hodgkin's, it's more restricted to one group of lymph nodes. Hence, in Hodgkin's lymphoma, they tend to have an orderly spread so that treatment may be easier as compared to that of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, wherein it is less predictable and prognosis may be poorer as compared to that of the Hodgkin's lymphoma. So let's start with immature lymphoid cell precursors, either T or B in origin. So acute lymphoblastic lymphoma or leukemia. So it is the most common cancer in children, usually less than 15 years old, with somewhat predisposition to groups of population like Hispanics, more on boys than in girls. 85% of B in origin, less than T type of acute lymphoblastic lymphoma. Precursor B cells, more on childhood acute leukemia, while precursor T cells, more on adolescents, that may be seen, may involve the following organs, lymph nodes, and other areas as well. The microscopic appearance for the ALL, either B or a T cell, they tend to be indistinguishable and they may have an overlap. So architecture may be effaced with infiltration of neoplastic cells, lymphoblasts. They have finely stippled chromatin. No or small nucleoli may be present. Lobulated nuclear membrane. They have scanty cytoplasm. And Sometimes we may also see tangible body macrophages because of some debris, because of destruction of some cells. These are engulfed by macrophages. And when macrophages are present in a diffuse, uniform proliferation of neoplastic lymphocyte, so these macrophages with large cytoplasm and debris, they appear like a clear area in a background of neoplastic cells. Hence, it is described sometimes as starry sky pattern. But remember that starry sky pattern is more associated with another type of uh, lymphoma, that is Burkitt's lymphoma. Okay? Burkitt's lymphoma. So that when you are asked whether uh, the starry sky would appear more, then your first answer should be Burkitt's lymphoma. Okay? The lymphoblast appearing in this type of malignancy have the appearance of condensed nuclear chromatin, small nucleoli, scant agranular cytoplasm, and also myeloperoxidase negative. Immunophenotyping, since these are immature tumors, they are positive for TDT, terminal deoxynityl transferase, a specialized DNA polymerase. So they may be positive for B cells or pre-B cells, CD19, CD20, and a variable positivity with CD10. While for pre-T cells, CD1, 2, CD5, and CD7. So some may also have positivity with pre-T cells like the CD3, 4, and 8, depending on whether it's early or late in the disease process. Cytogenetics-wise, there are some with abnormality, with chromosomal changes. They may interfere with maturations. Some may have translocations in different uh, areas. Some may have Philadelphia chromosome, okay, translocation in this area of the chromosome. Some may have hyperdiploidy and hypodiploidy. The clinical presentation, the onset tends to abrupt and stormy. It may last from days to weeks. Symptoms may be associated with bone marrow depression or a bone marrow expansion. So depression would result in the following: fever, anemia, and bleeding, while bone expansion may lead to bone pain, tenderness, or even enlargement of organs or organomegaly. In the CNS, it may manifest having headache, vomiting, and palsies. So organs involved that may enlarge would be the following: the lymph node, the spleen, the liver. Okay? So prognosis-wise for ALL, okay, so they tend to be cured with aggressive treatment, 95% complete remission in children, 75 to 85% are cured, while two-thirds of adults, around 35 to 40% are cured. There are favorable and non-favorable condition. Favorable condition if it is diagnosed between 2 to 10 years old, those with low WBC count, those with hyperdiploidy, those with trisomy 4, 7, 10, and those with translocation 12, 21. And it is worst or non-favorable with less than 2 years old, those that are present in adolescent or adulthood, and the number of blasts would be more than 100,000. Let's go to mature or peripheral B-cell neoplasm. And the first of these would be the chronic lymphocytic leukemia, CLL, or small lymphocytic lymphoma. CLL is the most common leukemia of adults in the Western world. The microscopic for CLL and SLL, they tend to be indistinguishable, just like the previous. They differ in the degree of peripheral blood lymphocytosis, so that in CLL, there are higher peripheral count, absolute lymphocyte count of more than 4,000 per cubic millimeter. Just like as we mentioned earlier, when there is lymphoma, there is effaced architecture of the involved tissue, particularly the lymph nodes. Okay? So there are no more follicles and germinal center that is seen. Mostly a uniform proliferation of neoplastic lymphocytes. In SLL, you may see interstitial infiltrates of neoplastic lymphocytes. So these are liver cells. These are the neoplastic cells. Presence of proliferation centers are pathognomonic for this type of malignancy. In CLL, with the involvement of the blood, the appearance of the cell, there is an increased small round lymphocytes with disrupted forms or smudged cells. So there are presence of smudged cells. There may be bone marrow involvement as well. Immunophenotyping with CLL and SLL, they are of B cell in origin. So that they are positive for B cell markers like CD19 and CD20. They also have a low level of expression surface immunoglobulin M, or some may be combined with immunoglobulin D. There are also high level expression of BCL2. Cytogenetic-wise, chromosomal translocation are rare. Most common findings are deletions of several chromosomal areas or regions. Clinically, CLL, most common leukemia in adults. 60 years old, mostly with male preponderance. Often, they may have asymptomatic or nonspecific flu-like manifestation. They may cause a disruption in the immune function. Okay? Manifestation may include generalized lymphadenopathies or may also involve enlargement of the spleen and the liver. So the laboratory results or workups may have a variable total amount of the leukocytes or WBC. With CLL, tend to be higher, as we mentioned earlier, with more than 200,000 per cubic millimeter. For small lymphocytic lymphoma, they tend to have low WBC and may have bone marrow involvement. So, median survival, 4 to 6 years, with 10 years with decrease tumor bulk. Worst if there is presence of the following: deletion in chromosome 11 and 17, lack of somatic hypermutation, presence of SAP70. Additionally, some of this type of lesion may transform into an aggressive growth. Some may transform into a diffuse large B-cell lymphoma, what we call the Richter syndrome. Okay, next type of lymphoma would be follicular lymphoma. This is the most common form of indolent non-Hodgkin's lymphoma in the US. Okay? So 45% as adult lymphoma, usually at middle age, with somewhat equal incidence with male and female. Microscopic wise, having follicles or appearing as germinal center, but the involvement would be the entire node or the tissue. So as we mentioned earlier, the normal anatomy of a lymph node, the follicles would be in the area of the cortex. Here, even at the center, in the medullary area, you will see the neoplastic lymphocyte that forms follicles. Characteristically, they have a nodular or diffuse infiltration of centrocytes and centroblasts. Centrocytes would be appearing small scant cytoplasm, cleaved nuclear contour, while centroblasts, they tend to be larger with open nuclear chromatin, several nucleoli, with moderate amount of cytoplasm. Immunophenotyping, this is a B cell, okay, in origin. So positive for CD19, 20, 10, some with having surface immunoglobulin, presence of BCL6. So CD5 would be negative. So 90% may have positivity with BCL2. So cytogenetic wise, the hallmark is 1418 translocation that juxtaposes to area of chromosome 14 and BCL2, okay, in chromosome 18 that is seen in 90% of patients. Clinically, just like the previous, there is lymphadenopathies. Median survival, some may be 7 to 9 years, but they tend to be incurable, not improved by an aggressive treatment. So usually palliative for the symptoms. So some may also transform into a more aggressive type, diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. And the median survival will fall to less than 1 year after the transformation. Next type would be the diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. This is the most common form of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. 60 to 70% of aggressive lymphoma. Median age would be around 60 years old, having this type of malignancy, with preponderance to male than female. Okay? But it may also be seen in young adults and children. Microscopic-wise, with its name, there is a presence of large cell size, around 5 times, with a diffuse pattern. Okay, cells with round oval nucleus with chromatin marginating at the nuclear membrane. Some would be large with multilobular or cleaved nuclei. In nucleoli may be multiple, 2 to 7, and there is a pale blue moderate cytoplasm. Sometimes they may appear similar or reminiscent with that of the RS cell, but they are not RS cell, just mimicking the appearance of RS cells. Immunophenotyping, it's still a B cell in origin, so CD19, CD20, CD10, BCL6, but this is a mature type of neoplastic cells, so they are negative TDT. Cytogenetic wise, with BCL6 abnormality, Okay, normally, BCL6 expression downregulated when B cells leave the germinal center. So that with abnormality or mutation, dysregulated and persistent expression of target genes that may happen in this type of malignancy. There may be some special subtype that may be associated with other diseases like with oncogenic viruses. So immunodeficiency associated large B-cell lymphoma, those with associated primary effusion lymphoma. Clinically, there is a rapid mass enlargement. So it may involve a single node or multiple area, often symptomatic, commonly involving the areas of the following, in the area of Waldeyer ring, oropharyngeal area. Bone marrow may be involved late and usually may be associated with leukocytosis. So as we mentioned, this type of lesion is aggressive. They may be rapidly fatal, okay? But with intensive treatment, there may be some complete remission and some may have may be cured. Then let's have the next lesion. The type of lymphoma is Burkitt's lymphoma. Histologically, they may have different types but similar in appearance. We have the endemic, non-endemic, and HIV associated. So again, a phased appearance of the nodes infiltrated by neoplastic lymphocytes having coarse chromatin, several nucleoli with moderate amount of cytoplasm. There are high mitotic index. Okay, these are mitosis, mitosis, mitosis. So these are mitotic figures. There is also increased apoptosis. So with increase in apoptosis, there are debris in within the area. Hence, the presence of macrophages to engulf this debris would appear the characteristic starry sky pattern for Burkitt's lymphoma. So as we see here in the picture below, there are macrophages containing tingible body macrophages in a background of this diffuse proliferation of neoplastic cells. So it's like a stars in the sky, hence starry sky pattern. Immunophenotyping, still B-cell in origin, CD19, 20, 10. Cytogenetic-wise, they may be associated with translocation of CMYC gene in chromosome 8. All endemic tumors may have a latent EBV infection. Some may involve or associated with HIV. Some may be sporadic. Clinically, they may present 30% of childhood non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Okay, so may be seen in both children and young adults. It may have involvement of extranodal tissues or organs. So in endemic, usually involving the following areas as compared to that of the sporadic. So that in endemic, mandible, abdominal viscera, in sporadic, involving as abdominal mass in the ileocecal and peritoneal area. Okay, prognosis-wise, they tend to be aggressive, but they may respond well to short-term and high-dose treatment. Okay? Cure in children and young adults may be achieved, but guarded in adults. Okay, so just a picture for a Burkitt's lymphoma. Okay? Next, we have mantle cell lymphoma. More at around 5 to 6 decades, more in males. Microscopic-wise, nodular or may have an effaced architecture. Homogeneous small lymphocytes are seen, just like here seen in picture B, with irregular cleaved nucleus. Okay. So there is no large cell-like lymphoblast, central proliferation, immunophenotyping. Okay, so the tumor may be positive for CD19, CD20. Okay. So clinically, again, generalized lymphadenopathies, there may be some enlargement. They tend to be painless. Okay. So some may involve the peripheral blood. Okay. Also, may have extranodal involvement in the different organs from bone marrow, spleen, liver, and GIT. Cytogenetics, there may be cyclin D1 overexpression caused by translocation. The prognosis-wise, 3 to 4 years, they tend to be not curable by conventional treatment and may result to death with tumor infiltration. Marginal zone lymphoma. This encompasses heterogeneous group of B-cell tumor arising in the following areas. So clinically, they may be associated with chronic inflammation or autoimmune diseases like in Sjogren's disease, Hashimoto's, Helicobacter gastritis. The involvement may be localized, and they may also regress if the etiologic agent is removed. Okay. So there may be some translocation, and also they have an incidence that they may transform into a more aggressive type, like the large B-cell lymphoma. Next lesion would be hairy cell leukemia. Okay, so this is rare, okay, more in middle-aged Caucasian males with male predominance. So immunophenotyping, CD19, CD20 primarily because these are still of B cell. Okay, so in characteristic for this type of hairy cell leukemia, there is presence of fine hair-like projection on a phase contrast microscope. So hairy-like projection. So there is presence of reniform cytoplasm, pale blue bleb-like extension that would appear as hairy. So the bone marrow may be involved so that there may be some enmesh or fibrosis in the matrix. That's why it may be hard to aspirate, leading to a dry top of bone marrow aspiration. Okay, clinically, infiltrates in the following organs may be noted. There may be pancytopenia that may be an evidence for bone marrow failure, and also may have splenic sequestration. Okay, so the condition may lead to a massive splenomegaly. The liver may also enlarge, but not that much. Okay, they tend to have an indolent course, and they may be sensitive to specific treatment. Okay, let's go to T cell. So peripheral T cell and NK neoplasm. So T cell tend to be more common in Asia rather than in the US. NK cells, just the same, more in Asia. Peripheral T cell lymphoma, unspecified. They may have an effaced architecture, pleomorphic cells, and presence of prominent angiogenesis. Immunophenotyping, with a mature T cell. So they are positive for CD2, 3, 4. So usually for T cells, the number of CDs tend to be lower as compared to that of the B cells, more of 19 and 20. Okay? Clinically, just the same. There is lymphadenopathies. There may be pruritus, fever, weight loss. And their prognosis with peripheral T-cell lymphoma, they tend to be worse than diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. Another type would be anaplastic large cell lymphoma. They are strongly associated with the arrangement of ALK gene in chromosome 2. So the appearance of the cells have large anaplastic cells with horseshoe-shaped nuclei with abundant cytoplasm. So children, young adults are seen with in the soft tissues with a very good prognosis with treatment. For older patients, there may be lack of ALK rearrangement with poorer prognosis. Adult T-cell leukemia or lymphoma. So this may be involving the CD4 T cells. So only seen in adults infected with virus HTLV1. So they may be endemic in some areas. Morphologic-wise, tumor cells vary in appearance, but some with multilobate cells appearing at clover leaf or flower cells. So clinically, they may manifest having skin lesions, hepatosplenomegaly, peripheral blood lymphocytes, hypercalcemia, or they may progress into a demyelinating disease in the brain and in the spinal cord. Okay. So prognosis-wise, they may last for months to years. Some may transform into another type of lesion. Like here, mycosis fungoides and Sézary syndrome. So mycosis fungoides and Sézary syndrome are lesions with predilection for the skin, associated with helper cell tumor or CD4 positive T cells. So mycosis fungoides may have stages, but generally there is infiltration of epidermis and dermis by cells with cerebriform nuclei with infolding of the nuclear membrane. So cerebriform, so just like the brain, there are some infolding or the presence of lobulations at the surface. So they may progress involving the lymph node and the bone marrow. While in Sézary syndrome, it is a generalized exfoliative erythroderma with somewhat similar association or similarity of the appearance of the cell. So characteristic appearance, cerebriform nuclei. Okay? So they may involve the blood, bone marrow, and lymph nodes in early course of the disease. And later on, they will home going to the skin. With 8 to 9 years survival, occasionally they may transform to an aggressive T-cell lymphoma. Large granular lymphocytic leukemia. So there have two variants, T and the NK. So mainly seen in adults. For T-cell, more of lymphocytosis, splenomegaly, no lymphadenopathy, and hepatomegaly. Okay. For NK cell, little, no lymphocytosis, and splenomegaly. Microscopic-wise, tumor cells tend to have abundant cytoplasm with coarse granules, seen in peripheral blood smear. Bone marrow, they tend to be sparse interstitial lymphocytic infiltrates. So some may also seen with involvement of the spleen and the liver. So they may be the presence of marrow infiltration that may lead to neutropenia and anemia. So it may also manifest having pure RBC aplasia. Okay? It may be associated with rheumatoid disorders, and they may have a variable course. Okay? For T cell, they tend to be indolent. For NK cell, they tend to be more aggressive. Extranodal NK and T cell lymphoma. Okay? So they may present as a destructive mesopharyngeal mass, also known as lethal midline granuloma. So this lesion may also involve the skin and testes. So typically, cells surround and invade small blood vessels with areas of necrosis. The cells could be small or large lymphoid cells with large eosinophilic granules in cytoplasm that may resemble NK cells. So prognosis-wise, they tend to be aggressive with poor response to treatment. Let's proceed with plasma cell neoplasm and its related disorders. So these plasma cell neoplasm, plasma cells, these are formed from B cells during their development. And these B cell clones that are transformed into plasma cells, they produce the antibodies. So with association to malignancy, so these are monoclonal proliferation. So many of these are malignant. A monoclonal immunoglobulin called the M component, they are confined in plasma and other areas like the ECF unless there is the presence of glomerular injury. So they may synthesize excess light or heavy chains, and they may also have Benz-Jones protein in the urine. They are pre-light chains and present in the urine. So we have first the monoclonal gammopathy, multiple myeloma. So as mentioned, most common and most important, may have a characteristic involvement of the skeletal system. So sometimes they may present as solitary myeloma or plasmacytoma, but rare, or as a smoldering myeloma without of symptoms with high plasma M component. The other types of monoclonal gammopathy will be Waldenstrom macroglobulinemia syndrome with the following characteristics: heavy chain disease, primary immunity associated with amyloidosis, monoclonal gammopathy of undetermined significance. So the multiple myeloma or plasma cell neoplasm, more associated with male than in females. Associated with African descent, peak at around 60 to 70 years old, involvement of the skeletal system. It also may involve the following areas: lymph nodes, skin, and even some extranodal areas. So pathogenesis, immunoglobulin genes in myeloma cells always show evidence of somatic hypermutation. There is proliferation and survival of myeloma cells. Factors produced by neoplastic plasma cells mediate bone destruction that may cause pathologic fractures. Many myelomas have rearrangement involving the immunoglobulin heavy chain gene on chromosome 14. Cytogenetic-wise, they may have the following: different gene expression or abnormality, deletions, translocations. Morphologic-wise, okay, grossly, we mentioned the involvement of the bone. There may be uh, predilection to the eggshell skeleton. So, in a decreasing order, so initially, vertebral column, ribs, skull, pelvis, and femur. So, the lesion would appear gelatinous, soft red masses that may lead to pathologic fracture as we mentioned. This is a very nice picture of the skull with punch-out defects associated with multiple myeloma. This is a picture that usually comes out in several examinations. I've seen this being asked in a question in different qualifying exam. So, microscopic-wise, presence of 30% plasma cells, plasmablast plasma cells, having appearance of the following. They may have having eccentric nucleus, those with perinuclear halo, sometimes bizarre appearing, those with multinucleations may be seen. With intracellular immunoglobulin deposits, cells may appear differently, or may have a characteristic appearance like having in a flame cells with very red cytoplasm, moth cells, grape-like cytoplasmic droplets, Russell bodies, presence of cytoplasmic inclusions, Dutcher bodies, nuclear inclusions, and some may have fibrils, globules, and crystalline rods. So they may involve some tissues. In the peripheral blood smear, they may form a rouleau formation due to an increase in the M protein component. So in the kidney, with excretion of Bence-Jones protein. So features would be with plasma cell infiltration of bones and other organs, bone resorption, hypercalcemia, renal disease. Increased immunoglobulins, abnormal proteins, Bence-Jones proteinuria. Some may have amyloidosis. Some may have hyperviscosity syndrome. There may be suppression of immunity, humoral immunity. Okay? So they may result into recurrent infection. Okay. Laboratory test. So blood immunoglobulin would be high, as well as in the urine. In serum electrophoresis, there is a gamma globulin spike. Okay, so bone marrow examination for a definitive diagnosis may be done. The peripheral blood may have thrombocytopenia and leukopenia. A prognosis-wise, variable to poor. They may have good outcome with translocation involving the cyclin D1, but may be aggressive with some deletions. Okay? Then we have solitary myeloma or plasmacytoma. Okay, so they may have bone lesions. There could be extraosseous involvement, and they may also transform into a multiple myeloma later on. Then we have monoclonal gammopathy of uncertain significance, smoldering myeloma between multiple myeloma and monoclonal gammopathy of uncertain significance, or MGUS. Then we have the lymphoplasmacytic lymphoma. So seen in older adults, 6th to 7th decade, cells would appear like CLL and SLL. Micro, bone marrow infiltrated by the following cells, and there may have presence of inclusions of plasma cells, like the Russell bodies and Dutcher bodies. There is absent bone erosions in this type of lesion. Immunophenotype still of B cell, CD20 positive monoclonal proliferation of plasma cells. So manifestation, just like any other malignancy with weight loss, weakness, and fatigue, enlarged lymph nodes, spleen and liver may be involved, bone marrow may be involved also. Okay? And there's a presence of hyperviscosity that may lead to the following: visual impairment, neurologic manifestations, bleeding tendencies. So these may all lead to or be caused by having hyperviscosity. Prognosis, they tend to be incurable. Okay. They may be alleviated yung symptoms with plasmapheresis. Transformation to large B-cell lymphoma is rare. Let's go to Hodgkin's lymphoma. Hodgkin's lymphoma, or still of B-cell in origin, most common form of malignancy in young adult and adolescent. So they tend to be curable with treatment. So again, Hodgkin's lymphoma, uncommon extranodal, usually nodal, and in one group of node, orderly spread by contiguity with mesenteric nodes, and while they rarely involved for Hodgkin's lymphoma, more often localized to a single axial group of node. So, classification of Hodgkin's lymphoma by WHO, we have nodular sclerosis, mixed cellularity, lymphocyte-rich, lymphocyte depletion, and lymphocyte predominance. The first four having classic Hodgkin's lymphoma RS cells having the same phenotype, so same yung reaction nila. While the last, lymphocyte predominance with RS cells with different phenotype or immunophenotype. So presence of the red Sternberg cells are particularly important for Hodgkin's lymphoma. The classic RS cells, they tend to have a mirror in appearance. Parang dalawa sila doon na merong nucleoli inside. Multiple nuclei, single or with multiple lobes. Large nuclei, size of a small lymphocyte. So here sa background, you may see lymphocyte. Okay, and almost appearing in similar size. And there is abundant cytoplasm. The other variants, we have mononuclear variants, single nucleus, large nucleoli or nucleolus. Then we have lacunar type, somewhat with clearing ng cytoplasm. The nuclei tend to be inside this clearing or this hole. Kaya siya lacunar, like in the bone, lacunae. Then, the last, we have lymphohistiocytic variant, like appearing like a popcorn kernels of polyploid nuclei. There is also abundant cytoplasm. So this is associated with lymphocyte predominance of Hodgkin's lymphoma. So we have nodular sclerosis, most common form of Hodgkin's lymphoma, with equal involvement in male and female. Microscopic-wise, presence of RS cells, more of lacunar type, with a decreased classic type of RS cells. So other cells that may be seen, eosinophils, macrophages, and some plasma cells. Immunophenotyping with RS cells, they are positive for CD15 and CD30. CD15 and CD30. Okay, so they may involve the following areas, but mostly in one group of nodes. And their prognosis, they tend to be excellent. Mixed cellularity. So effaced architecture with increased classic RS together with mononuclear variant of RS cells. So prognosis is also good. So they may be associated with EBV infection, lymphocyte rich and lymphocyte depletion. So immunophenotyping 15 and 30 are positive for both. Okay. While lymphocyte predominance, the RS cells, so like yung lymphocytic variants like popcorn cells in appearance. So this LH variant is negative for CD15 and CD30, as compared to that of the previous four that we have mentioned and discussed. Okay, so these are the presence or effects of having the RS cells. So frequent presence of EBV epitomes. Infection occurs before cell transformation. Okay? So these are characteristics for the Hodgkin's lymphoma. So spread, predictable. Okay? So one group of node, some may also involved, but less common, more on one group of node. So staging wise, so this would guide treatment. Nodular sclerosis usually would have a better prognosis than the other type of Hodgkin's lymphoma. So painless enlargement, okay, the usual manifestation with this condition. So treatment, okay, as we mentioned, as compared to other type of lymphomas, Hodgkin's lymphoma may have a better prognosis. Let's go to myeloid neoplasm. Myeloid neoplasm, so they may involve the following areas. So bone marrow and secondary hematopoietic organs. So there are three broad categories: acute myelogenous leukemia, myelodysplastic, and chronic myeloproliferative disorders. So again, just a review, the development of leukocytes. So pathogenesis, they tend to follow the normal hematopoiesis. And in myeloid neoplasm, there is escape from the normal control, causing it to proliferate abnormally. So clinical manifestation, okay, may involve the stem cells so that they may continue to proliferate. Okay, so the manifestation may be due to effect of transforming event on differentiation progress. It may be black or stunted, okay, and may lead to one lineage at the expense of the others. So first we have AML, acute myeloid leukemia. Any age, mostly adults, peaks at 60. Okay? So there is inhibition of terminal myeloid maturation. Okay? So there is a block of maturation of cells. Okay? So may be associated with translocations. Okay. Complication would be failure in hematopoiesis, resulting into anemia, neutropenia, and thrombocytopenia. So some drugs may be used to remove these leukemic or malignant cells from the bone marrow. In the WHO classification, the AML are subdivided. Those with genetic abnormalities, those with associated with therapy, those with MDS-like features, and those that are not otherwise specified. So the last would be a wastebasket diagnosis. If it will not fall on the first three, then it will fall on the NOS. Okay, but previously, AML are classified based on the French-American, British categorization. So in areas without the specific genetic study, they may use this FAB classification. These are based on a degree of differentiation in M0 to 3 and the lineage of leukemic blasts that are seen M4 to M7. So for M0, they tend to be minimally differentiated. M1 without differentiation, M2 with differentiation, M3 acute pro-myelocytic leukemia, M4 acute myelomonocytic leukemia, M5 acute monocytic leukemia, same as M5A and B, M6 acute erythroleukemia, and M7 acute megakaryocytic leukemia. So their characteristic appearance, so M7 blast of megakaryocytes, acute erythroleukemia M6, erythroid precursor are present. So M5 with presence of monocytes. Okay? So the pathogenesis having presence of driver mutations, so transcription factor mutations that interfere with normal differentiation. There could be also mutation of signaling protein that result to activation of pro-growth or survival pathway. Mutation that regulate, maintain the epigenome, abnormal DNA methylation, and acquisition of new enzyme activity. Likewise, mutations in the P53 genes that regulate P53. In AML, one of the diagnostic criteria would be presence of myeloid blast, more than 20% number of cells in the bone marrow. So myeloblast having delicate nuclear chromatin, maybe having multiple nucleoli, and characteristically merong presence of our RADs. These are red staining peroxidase that are seen in the cytoplasm. So some merong our RADs. Ito yun. Okay. Okay. Those with the presence of monoblast, no our RADs that may be seen here in this type. So there is a variable cells in blood. There may be more than 100,000 blasts. In some cases, less than 10,000. Or even sometimes there are no blasts that may be seen, what we call allochemic leukemia. Okay, immunophenotyping, the use of myeloid-specific markers. In the lab, we may employ banding techniques to see the genetic abnormalities. We could also investigate for the presence of translocation, presence of deletion, and monosomy. Okay. Clinically, it may be similar, like the acute lymphoblastic leukemia, but less striking. So worst symptoms related to anemia, neutropenia, and thrombocytopenia. Okay. Fatigue, fever, spontaneous skin and mucosal bleeding with decrease in the number of platelet. So other manifestation, okay, bleeding may be exacerbated, opportunistic infection may be present. So these are some of manifestations. And some may progress to a systemic condition in several years. Treatment, okay, difficult. Okay. 60% with treatment may undergo remission. Okay. So there could be different medication that may be used for this type of lesion. Then we have myelodysplastic syndrome. Stem cells with mutation defects associated with ineffective hematopoiesis and increased risk of transformation to AML. Bone marrow may be partly or totally replaced by these abnormal multipotent stem cells. So they may be further subdivided, whether they are primary or therapy-related, MDS, myelodysplastic syndrome. But this, whether the primary or therapy-related, can transform to AML. Okay, diagnosis-wise, so they have driver mutation that may overlap with AML with the following factors: epigenetic, RNA splicing, and transcription factor. Okay, other abnormality: TP53 mutation, monosomy, deletion, and even trisomy. For the bone marrow, variable appearance, but mostly hypercellular, but can be normo and hypo. There is ineffective hematopoiesis and increase in apoptosis. Morphologic-wise, there is a dysplastic differentiation of all non-lymphoid lineages. Dysplastic differentiation of all non-lymphoid lineages. Okay, the RBC, monogranulocytes, and macro and megakaryocytes. So erythroid, there is presence of ring sideroblast with iron-laden mitochondria. Megaloblastoid maturation. Okay, so there is an increase in the number. There is also presence of nuclear budding abnormalities. Okay, so megakaryocytes may be described having the appearance of pone ball, single lobe, sometimes with separate nuclei. There is an increase in the blast that is present. So increase should be less than 20%. In the peripheral blood, presence of pseudo-Pelget-Huer cells, so neutrophils with only 2 nuclear lobes. Okay, giant platelets, macrocytes, poikilocytes, and absolute monocytosis. Okay, clinically, okay, at around 70 years old, there could be a pancytopenia. Okay, 1/2 of the cases are incidental findings. Prognosis associated with worst increased blast in the bone marrow and peripheral blood, and severe cytopenia. So complications, bleeding, and infection with decrease of platelets and polymorphonuclear cells respectively. Chronic myeloproliferative disorders or CMD, presence of mutated activated tyrosine kinase. They tend to circumvent normal controls and lead growth factor independent proliferation and survival of marrow progenitors. Okay, so they keep on proliferation with this abnormality. There are common features with this group: increased proliferative drive in the bone marrow, extramedullary hematopoiesis, variable transformation to spent phase, and variable transformation to acute leukemia. So with CMDs, so we have CML, polycythemia, essential thrombocytopenia, primary myelofibrosis, neutrophilic leukemia, chronic eosinophilic leukemia not otherwise specified, mastocytosis, and myeloproliferative neoplasm unclassifiable. So chronic myeloid leukemia, primarily in adults, 5 to 6 decades, Pathophysio is the presence of a distinct abnormality, translocation of BCR gene on chromosome 9 and the ABL gene on chromosome 22, forming the BCR-ABL fusion gene, what we call the Philadelphia chromosome. So, this condition, the presence of this may be seen via karyotyping, and this is present in 90%. The remaining may be seen with complex rearrangement. So, there are also presence of scattered histiocytes with wrinkled green-blue cytoplasm, sometimes described as sea-blue histiocytes. Okay, erythroid, normal or slightly decreased, increased deposition of reticulin, but rarely, okay, that may result into fibrosis. Peripheral blood, marked leukocytosis, increased neutro, metamyelocytes, and myeloblasts. Also increase in other cells, AO, baso, and monos. Okay, mostly thrombocytosis may also be seen. Okay. Neutrophil alkaline phosphatase may be seen. Okay. Reduced to absent in CML and elevated in polycythemia vera. Okay? So, reduced to absent in CML and elevated in polycythemia vera, yung NAP, neutrophil alkali phosphatase. So, patient may have erythropoiesis peripherally, resulting into hepatomegaly, and also with mild lymphadenopathy. Clinically, they may have insidious presentation, mild to moderate anemia, and other manifestation, anorexia, weight loss, weakness. There is extreme splenomegaly that may be a first manifestation. Okay. So 50% may have accelerated pace. Okay. So with a 15 to 30% blast, that may be seen in this type of uh, proliferation. Prognosis-wise, 50%, 6 to 12 months accelerated pace that may lead also to blast crisis. So in blast crisis, there is a more than 20% blast, and blast cells spreads to tissues beyond the bone marrow. For 50%, no accelerated phase, just an abrupt blast crisis. Polycythemia vera. So multipotent myeloid cells. There is an increase in bone marrow production of erythroid, myeloid, and megakaryocytic elements. So all lineages are increased in the peripheral blood associated with point mutation in tyrosine kinase. So Janus kinases 2. Differential diagnosis for polycythemia is relative polycythemia and absolute polycythemia. So there is a panmyelosis increase in the lineages with this polycythemia vera. There is associated low serum erythropoietin. Okay. So bone marrow tend to be hypercellular. They may be having an increase in the bone marrow reticulin fibers. In late of the disease process, there may be fibrosis and may also lead to extramedullary hematopoiesis in the liver or spleen, so they may also enlarge later on. Okay, so all three lineages, so this appearance of the cells may also manifest having abnormally large platelets. So they may also progress into or transform to acute leukemia. Okay, median age 60, more in males than in females, increased RBC mass, hematocrit. There is stagnation of blood, increase in blood pressure, some GIT manifestation, and severe itchiness. Peptic ulcer, uricemia, abnormal platelet function, erythromelalgia, okay, WBC count, 12 to 50,000, platelet more than 500,000, and presence of splenomegaly. Erythromelalgia are episodes of burning pain and redness in the feet and sometimes other extremities, hands, arms. So, treatment-wise, to correct abnormalities, bleeding, the elevated the level by doing a phlebotomy, also yung mataas na hemoglobin, and do the anchelating agent, irradiation. So, some may progress, go to spent phase, some may transform to AMN. Essential thrombocytosis, proliferation and production of megakaryocytic elements. So up to more than 1,000,000 per cubic millimeter. So point mutations in Janus kinases. Okay. The also abnormalities in other areas in certain or into a lesser extent. Diagnosis to exclude other conditions with thrombocytosis like the following: inflammatory disorders, neoplasm, and iron deficiency. So, pathogenesis, so abnormality in the following: morphology, bone marrow, mild to moderate cellularity, marked increased megakaryocyte, and there is also presence in the peripheral blood of more than 450 to 1,000 of these thrombocytes, abnormally large platelets with mild leukocytosis. Okay. Clinically, they may present with hemorrhage and thrombosis. They may progress to spent phase. Here, there is a bone marrow fibrosis. They may transform to AML, with some having survival of 12 to 15 years. Primary myelofibrosis. So rapid development of obliterative bone marrow fibrosis, its hallmark. Again, may abnormality, okay, just like the previous Janus kinase mutations. So like spent phase in myelofibrosis. So suppress bone marrow hematopoiesis, peripheral blood cytopenia, extramedullary hematopoiesis in the following organs. So extensive collagen deposition by non-neoplastic fibroblast. So there is extensive extramedullary hematopoiesis. So the following are its features: anemia, splenomegaly, white cell count that is variable, thrombocytopenia. So complication, infection, thrombosis, bleeding, transformation to AML. Chronic neutrophilic leukemia. So this is a rare type of CMDs. Persistent neutrophilia, more than 25 per liter. Adults having splenomegaly, hepatomegaly, mucocutaneous bleeding, pruritus, and gout. There is a left shift with presence of toxic granulation. Bone marrow tends to be hypercellular. Chronic eosinophilic leukemia. not otherwise specified, and idiopathic hypereosinophilic syndrome. So elevation in mature eosinophils often increase but less than 20% blast in the bone marrow. So if not increased and no evidence of monoclonal, then idiopathic hypereosinophilic syndrome. Mastocytosis. So this is a clonal neoplastic proliferation of mast cells in the following areas. So there is mutation, mononuclear cells with central nuclei, clump chromatin, dense basophilic granules. So there is presence of atypical mast cells, more than 20% in the bone marrow, and more than 10% in the circulation. Myeloproliferative neoplasm, unclassifiable. Those do not meet criteria for a specific entity. This is the last slide. Okay. Thank you and good day.